We are live. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Welcome from Hawaii, from Kauai. We're still at Wayne's retreat and we're having an absolute wonderful time. I'm feeling great. I just had my session and so far it's been a wonderful experience, learning, getting sessions, socializing, cooking together. Really, really great.
And enjoying Kauai, huh? The beauty of Kauai.
Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, wonderful.
Here. Today is a very special day because it's your anniversary.
I have an anniversary today. Yeah, it's great.
Jin Shin Jyutsu, November 14, 1977.
9 o'clock in the morning on a Monday morning, I walked in and was introduced to Mary Burmeister in Jin Shin Jyutsu. Yeah.
And
My
so
first class, never had a session. I was on an adventure. That's all I knew.
And where was this class?
This class was in Scottsdale, in the old office that Mary had on 67th Place before they moved into the new building. And it was great. Mary used to have a little tray out in front of the office, and she'd feed the birds, and she and Pat basically were running the office and doing the show.
And you didn't know what you were getting into.
I had no idea. I had no idea.
And here you are 40 years later.
Yeah, 41 years later.
41 years.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Having spread Jin Shin Jyutsu all over the world.
It's an incredible journey. Well, it's such a blessing in my life, and I feel so gifted and so grateful for the opportunity to see the world and share this message. Yeah.
And so Mary, she was a great teacher, and she had a lot of wonderful lessons, and we were talking about it yesterday, and so we wanted to share some of her quotes.
Oh, great. Good idea.
And see how it affects our lives and our practice and our relationships, because you talk a lot about relationships.
Yeah.
In Jin Shin Jyutsu, everything is relationship.
I think that everything that we perceive not to be in relationship is fear, because there is only unity. Unity is the law of the universe. So, yeah.
So let's talk about 3 topics today.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to say, first of all, Mary was really a wordsmith. She was very much aware of words and their meaning, and I believe also their energetic impact on us. And so when she gave us words, they were after careful consideration, and she used them wisely. They were very, very wisely chosen, I believe. And sometimes her language seemed a little odd, and I believe she used that to stop us so that we would really, what is she really saying? What was Mary wanting me to hear?
Mm-hmm.
So these quotes that she chose, what I want to say is, these quotes that she chose were very powerful for their relevance to Jin Shin Jyutsu in our lives.
Mm-hmm. And so we also do see that in her textbooks, like the language was chosen very carefully.
Absolutely.
And she had a lot of thought behind it.
And numerologic value. You know, some of the words that she chose were chosen specifically because of the value, the number value that they are. So that impacted us clearly.
So let's start with this topic, the power of words.
The power of words.
And I think you have a personal little story, if you want to tell that, as an example, like words that we use in our lives. What does that mean, and what does it tell you about the person? Even in your practice, when people come in, they use certain words. And what does it tell you about how they approach life in their relationship?
Well, thoughts become words, and words become actions. And so she used to tell us, you know, don't put something into action if you don't want it to manifest. I once raised my hand in a class. For example, I once raised my hand in class, and Mary called on me, and I said, "Mary, I can't." And she clapped her hands and said, "Stop, Wayne." She said, "At least tell the truth. Say, I won't." Now, what were you going to say, Wayne? And
right.
That really, you know, because I recently watched Mary in a video, and she restated that very same thing. You know, when I say I can't, I'm saying I won't. Because we have the power to be who and what we are. And so when I say I can't, I'm coming from fear. I'm coming from a sense of lack or limitation, which is our definition of fear. And she was saying, you don't want to say that. At least tell the truth. Say, I won't. I choose not to do this.
So very important and very powerful.
Yeah.
So one of her quotes is, words are veils over the truths.
Right. Right.
That's just kind of like the story that you're telling.
Exactly.
When people use a lot of trying tos, it tells you about their fifth depth and things like that.
So words often express the attitude of the moment. If we're in fear, if we're in attitude, then the words that we choose often are because of the attitude that's running our consciousness in the moment. So the other thing about words is they're always incomplete, you know. You can have a thought, and that's limitless, that's boundless. But when you conceptualize that thought and put it into a word, then it becomes a limited expression of the totality. So
I have another nice quote then here.
Okay.
Don't plant a seed that you don't want to grow.
Exactly.
Talking about manifestation,
Manifesting.
giving it form.
Yep. So that thought that becomes a word then is that much closer to manifesting in our lives. In our story of bust line, waistline, hip line, or spirit, mind, body, if you bring something from that level of the thought into words, you've made it closer to that demonstration in the material world. So she was always reminding us of that.
So for example, if you have a lot of fear and you're talking about like this or that could happen, you're actually planting a seed.
Exactly.
For something to...
You know, and she would say, for example, if someone is not feeling well, don't tell the world, I'm sick, because then everyone is going to project that image of your being sick onto you. And she wasn't talking about denial, but she was really talking about changing our focus once again.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
how can we use this concept in flow patterns, like in our practice?
Well, I think it's very, very important that we be conscious of what we're saying and how we're communicating with our clients and our friends, our families, and all of our relationships. What am I communicating with the words that I choose? In the story of the senses, the human senses, hearing is the first of the senses to develop. And so in our sensational lives and having sensation, hearing is the first sense that activates our consciousness. And so it's really a very essential piece to recognize that I'm impacting the world around me, my friends, my partners, my family, my neighborhood, my community, with the words that I choose.
And also then what you're talking about hearing, so you can put this into depth. Which depth would this be?
Hearing is first depth. That's what I'm saying. It's that outer container. Of who we are, and hearing is going to impact that container.
So there's another quote, and I like your interpretation. Tell people what they want to hear until they are ready to hear what you have to say.
That was, in part, that was a encouragement that Philomena Muriel and I got, and Pamela at that point, when we were studying with Mary and preparing to one day become teachers. And that was one of her advices to us. She said, tell them what they want to hear until they're ready to hear what you want to say.
So that's also very much for clients to reach them where they are
today. Absolutely, yeah. And that could be both with our words and with our hands. We have to touch people in a way that they can receive the touch. If we really want to go deeper into them, because if we touch too deeply and don't allow them to go with us, they're going to rebel and repel from that story. So
because that can cause fear again. It's pushing too far.
There's one other thing. I'm just remembering another is, as Mary used to say, don't nurture fruitless trees. And sometimes our conversation can nurture disharmonies. We want to talk about the arguments. We want to talk about the upsets, the competition, the lack of cooperation. And instead, we can change our focus by changing the language, the words that we choose to put that out into the world.
And also we were talking yesterday a little bit about it, and words are also very important because we're spirit, mind, and body, thoughts, words, and action. So waistline has to do with words, which is very much a part of the whole. If we don't have a waist, we're like this. So
we're wasted.
It's, and for all the psychologists, who we use a lot of words, it has a place. It's in the waistline.
Well, and we do honor that principle. As a man thinks, so he is. And in some ways, our thoughts become our bodies. And so bringing that closer into the manifestation through the language that we choose to demonstrate and express our thoughts, we want to be more mindful.
Can you give another example of what you hear when people use certain words? You think, oh, I hear this depth or going on.
Yes, well, again, in the Jin Shin Jyutsu story of the attitudes, different words clearly talk about different attitudes or different depth projects. I'm feeling scattered. That's a first depth project. Someone's not feeling containment. I'm fearful. Well, up to fourth depth project. So maybe my kidney, maybe my 23s is asking for that harmonizing action. I really like to remind myself that what we're hearing is the harmonizer. It's not there's a problem, there's a project, and this that I'm hearing can be used to harmonize that project. If I'm trying to, we know someone has a fifth depth lack of, struggle. Also, she would sometimes say, a free man never struggles. So anytime I'm feeling in a struggle in life, I know that I'm fifth depth project. So the words will tell us about the projects.
Yeah. So we listen to our clients, very important.
Absolutely.
The words as well.
Absolutely.
Shall we go to the next topic?
And remember that they're listening to us.
Yes.
Our words are so powerful. We practitioners know that sometimes students come back or clients come back and they say, you remember when you said... And I think, oh my goodness, Wayne, what did you say?
I say that?
What did I say? Because they're coming to us to receive something they perceive that we have that they don't yet have. And so they empower us with a certain status, a certain power, and we want to give them back that power through our language, through the words we give that constantly remind them, hey, you have the power, as Mary said, you have the power to change your life. I can't change you. I can remind you. I can help you in the journey, but you've got the power to change yourself.
So when somebody has a lot of trying tos and they say, I'm trying to this and that, their fifth step, as their body starts to harmonize, their language will also automatically change.
Absolutely.
So that's and we can see that in our practice, how they shift.
Their focus changes.
Yeah.
And so therefore their language, the way we express ourselves changes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, great. Wonderful. Contradictions.
I would like to say, I'm going to interrupt you.
Okay,
Excuse me.
No, please.
I want to say that, and one of the gifts of Jin Shin Jyutsu in our study, our practice is we have flows for all of this. We can change the way our mind is functioning by a 14 flow.
So again, mind, words are related to words.
Yeah.
So
and
14 flow opens up the waistline.
To open the waistline. So I change the way I'm thinking. If I don't change the way I think, the body's not going to change the way it demonstrates.
Yeah.
So again, not only is Jin Shin Jyutsu this beautiful philosophy and art, but it gives us the tools to make the changes that we know are necessary in our lives. 14 flow for changing. Third method of correction, we talk about that. Taking the history out of the body, or stopping the progression of the disharmonies. First method for taking PTSD kinds of projects out. So all of these things that we recognize through the words that we use can then be harmonized through the flows of Jin Shin Jyutsu. That's the gift. Not only a pretty message, but a powerful tool for making the changes that we perceive we need.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
And that's the whole study.
That's the study.
Beautiful.
That's the journey for each of us.
Yes, yes. Contradictions, are there any really?
Well,
are there any?
Yeah, that's another. That may be. In fact, I've some. You want to give the quote?
I'm going to give the quote first.
Okay.
The opposite of one great truth is another great truth.
Now, isn't that a good one to ponder? Yeah.
Yes.
So if I'm telling you my truth and you're telling me your truth and they seem to be oppositional, then our relationship is going to damage. It's going to be damaged, okay? So I'm really, what I want in my life, in Wayne's life, is I want happy, healthy, fun-filled relationships. And to have those fun-filled relationships, we need to find that we're on the same page. We're actually all wanting the same things. We all want to be happy. So when I can hear your desire for happiness and it appears to be contrary or contradictory to mine, I need to take a little bigger viewpoint, a little bigger vantage point of what you're saying and really hear you. And sometimes I'm so wrapped up in what Wayne's thinking, saying, feeling, that it's hard to listen and really hear. Jin Shin Jyutsu is the art of listening. It is the art of listening.
On every level, then?
On
the
every
level of
level.
words?
Words, on the level of pulse, on the level of the tissue, on every level. The art of listening. And what does listening require? Presence.
Attention?
Empty mind. Attention. The word I really like, if I want to really listen, I need to be awake. Sometimes we talk with each other and I think, oh, I was kind of sleepy. I didn't really hear what you... Well, consciousness gets sleepy sometimes. And I don't think we're always awake to the point that we can hear what someone else is wanting us to hear.
So that's very important, especially in relationships. I just have another quote here. There are no contradictions, only limited perceptions. So how can we have disagreements and still be in relationship without harming each other?
Absolutely. So what I need, again, is that freedom of fear that's going to allow me to hear what you're saying, not as attack, not as criticism. You know, even that one, we take criticism sometimes and beat ourselves up or get angry that the message came. But Mary's message was, criticisms are angels in disguise. They're a message about how I might be happier. Sometimes they're valid, sometimes they're not. And fortunately, we have a 9 that gives us the discernment to know if that message is mine to take in as a lesson, or it's simply someone's lack of ability to see who I am. We've got to balance all of that. That goes with that other quote that was so popular with her, or she liked so much. What you think of me is none of my business.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And so we've got to balance that. Is this a valid message? Or, no, that's your limited perception. And not judge you for being where you are. That's another piece of that. That's all in the 9s. The greatest gift of number 9 is the attainment of discernment. When our 9s are working as intended to be, they give us that energy of discernment, that wisdom of discernment. It's not judgment. It's simply seeing what is. This is different than that. They are different. One's not better or worse. Discernment then allows me to choose which of those two I want to go with, and it frees me from victimization.
So it seems like you're talking with both topics that we've been talking about so far about the waistline.
Absolutely.
9s, 14s.
9s, 14s, and my destiny, 23.
23.
Yeah.
It's man, our human beingness.
Absolutely.
Being in the middle.
It's that 5, right?
Right.
It's that 5 of 14. It's that 5 of 23. And our destiny is to be happy. So let's get on with it. Let's be happy. Yeah?
So again, which flows would you use for if you find yourself in a contradictory situation? How would you treat yourself or others? How would you harmonize that?
You know, I'm Capricorn, and Capricorn is 15, so one of my favorite ways to deal with those kinds of limited perceptions is to get into my joy. And when I'm happy, I'm much more available to someone else's point of view. When I'm really sure of and convicted in my own being that I'm being who I am, I don't have as much concern about you being who you are. Then it's simply, oh, that's interesting. One of the words I really like is amusement. And when I can turn a situation that might be difficult or contrary or contradicting into amusement, isn't it amusing that Stacy chose to think about it that way and I chose to think about it this way? Oh, isn't that amusing?
And maybe in the end you feel that they're both the same,
and
ultimately.
Very often we are saying the same thing, simply
Right.
from different perspectives.
Different perspectives.
Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
By the way, I wanted to just give some credit to this beautiful flower that Stacy made. And she's from the Big Island, and she's spending these days with us, so thank you.
Yeah. Stacy is one of our participants in this week's gathering, so yeah.
Yeah, we all got one of these.
Yeah,
so.
beautiful, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we have another topic, self-acceptance for where we are in the moment.
Oh, boy.
I, the imperfect, adore my own perfection.
That quote from Emerson is one that Mary liked a lot. And I really think that encapsulates or communicates the state of being human. We are all perfectly imperfect. And if I can give myself that freedom and that grace of being perfectly imperfect, in this moment, I'm the best me I can be.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's an awareness, at my level of awareness in this moment, to accept that is so important.
Absolutely.
Because then you're in harmony.
In harmony, I'm the best me I can be right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's not license to be unkind or a license to do something unloving.
Mm-hmm.
It's simply it's a loving acceptance of myself and my own journey.
Mm.
So,
mm-hmm.
yeah.
How can you?
I was going to say, well, when you asked that question, the first safety energy lock I thought about was the 21s. Escape mental bondage, right? Mm. And no accident that the stomach function energy begins its circulation with this 21.
Yeah.
You know, my thinking. The stomach function is the energy of I think. And so how I think often has to do with how number 21 related to the planet Saturn, Saturn known as the judge. And sometimes we're really hard on ourselves. That then gives us the freedom or the feeling of it's okay to be hard on you because I'm hard on me, so I can be hard on you too. No, that's not true.
So when you give yourself a stomach flow, then that will just, that will just
changes
harmonize.
that relationship that I have to my self-perception. It changes the way I think, and it changes everything about my head because it empties my head.
Mm-hmm. Isn't it wonderful how energy just helps us here?
Absolutely.
Balancing the energy.
Yeah.
So this also has to do with our self-esteem, self-worth, and to give oneself grace of being a human being.
You know, life is very gracious, and often there's no bondage greater than self-bondage. No one will ever limit me the way I limit myself. And so then we tend to project that onto others because I feel that limitation, so why should you have that freedom? It all starts with me being open and loving, and then I can choose words that express that love.
You said something like you're not gonna, or you're gonna make me happy.
Oh, yeah. Well, that, we can look at the attitudes that way, that the attitude of anger sometimes is, why won't you make me happy? Why won't you do what I want you to do? And that's not my right. I can change. I was just reading Mary again, and she was saying, I am the sole responsibility of my destiny. It's my journey to take care of me and my destiny. I can support you, I can love you, I can help you, but I can't change you. I can't change my partners, I can't change my family, I can't change my clients. I can change myself. The great teachers have always told us that's where the power is. The power is here. Gandhi said, if you want to see more peace, be peaceful. You want to see more kindness, be compassionate. So that's what I can be. Jin Shin Jyutsu, the art of being, not the art of doing.
Wonderful, yes.
And the flows simply then allow us to be that dynamic, adaptable. These 22s give me the freedom to adapt. Yeah. And so the power to adapt, to change. And when I encounter language that needs to be changed, maybe I need to go to my 22s again and bring in that more compassionate understanding of who and what I am and who and what you are.
Yeah, so we are so lucky and grateful that we can use this every day on ourselves, and even when you give a session to someone else, we access it.
Absolutely.
It puts us in harmony, and we help others. So it's just the most wonderful profession.
It's like
really.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like
Really?
Einstein told us. He said, everything is energy. Everything is energy. And we have the ability through the flows and the use of our jumper cables to help that energy to demonstrate as peace and harmony. That's the gift of Jin Shin Jyutsu.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think
So-
that, yes, I think that's wonderful. Is there anything that pops up, Patty? Any questions? Nothing right now. So,
Yeah.
do you want to add? It seems like we talked a lot about the 14th today,
Yes.
and so we can have another.
Today is 14.
November 14.
Today is 14.
So again,
you know how,
congratulations.
yeah, I'm really grateful for the experience and
40 years of Jin Shin Jyutsu.
yeah,
And thank you for spreading it.
wandering in the wilderness for 40 years, and the wandering continues.
Yes.
Yeah.
And thank you for spreading it all over the world.
Oh,
And we are also grateful, the whole community. We love you.
Thank you. I feel loved. I feel loved. Oh, good. And I love you. I think you folks know that what I do because I love it so much, and my excitement and my enthusiasm is only increased when I see in the eyes of the students, oh, I do have the power to make a difference in my life. I do have the power to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Not only do I have that power, it's my birthright.
Yes.
It is who I am. I am happy. So, thank you. Thank you. How can you live with anything but gratitude?
Mm-hmm.
And when there's gratitude, there's no fear. You know, if you play with the word gratitude, you find it adds to 6. Okay?
Tell them how you do that.
Well, if you play with words and you use the English alphabet of A to Z, and then you use the A as number 1 and Z as 26, and you go through that sequence, then you see that numbers, letters, words have a value. And the word gratitude, if you take the time to add it up, Gratitude, adds to 105 using the letters of the alphabet. Okay, 105 is a 6. 6 is the harmonizing action of the 4th depth. It's the function that allows the 4th depth to demonstrate its function. So what I know and what I realized some years ago is when I change my focus and I choose to live in gratitude, I have no fear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Again, words.
And
Power
gratitude,
of words.
as I'm living in that balance, I don't feel fears.
Mm-hmm.
I know everything is as it should be.
Yeah.
So this is the message that we're sharing, and it's being so well received. The words, just so brilliantly chosen by Mary.
In every language.
And
it
in
always
every
works out,
language. That's the gift of number and words.
Yes.
Because number is the only language that needs no translation. A 1 is a 1 is a 1, wherever I am. And so that unifying message of 1, we all understand it because, again, it's who we are. That innate wisdom of Jin Shin Jyutsu is simply being reminded that I can be in unity. I can be a 1.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is with all the 26 safety energy locks.
Yeah.
The
So
keys to the kingdom.
keep studying and understanding them. Important for all of us to continue to study and grow our
Mary
awareness.
said, teacher studied for 65 years and at the end of his time said, now I know nothing. Or I think it was 50 years his study. At the end he said, now I know nothing. And Mary constantly saying, I know nothing, or at my level of awareness. That was another phrase she often used. And I think that's important to acknowledge, at my level of awareness. Where am I today?
And it's okay, wherever you are.
It's more than
Today.
okay. It's perfect.
Yeah,
It's absolutely perfect.
yeah.
And that's where we have to be. And we can't be anywhere else. That's an illusion that we can be something more than we are. Or somewhere other than where we are. So these are all the
Wonderful.
teachings of
I like
Jin Shin
to end it
Jyutsu.
of that. We are perfect. And perfect timing. It's just starting to rain a little bit.
Oh,
Some
good.
drops.
Keeps us green and beautiful. Yeah?
Yes.
Good.
We will continue the conversation.
Thank you. It's a continuing conversation.
Continue.
To be continued. That's what Mary often ended the textbooks with, or her conversation with us. To be continued. It's a journey. Enjoy
we will
the
continue
ride.
with Wayne.
Enjoy the ride, guys. See you down the road.